Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. This video is a little bit different to my usual content. This is a product review. As you know, now and again I will jump on and review some products or just recommend something to you guys that I think you should be using, and a tool that I personally use and that has really helped me out as well. So before all that, let's get into the reasoning for this video. So naturally, this video is about an airbrush or an airbrush kit. Now I know if you've been subscribed to me for a while, you know my channel. Now and again, I do use an airbrush in my videos, and I tend to get a little bit of flack for it. The hobby seems to be divided on this, like maybe 50% like them and will use them, and then you've got some people that are just totally against them. But hopefully in this video, by the end of it, I'm going to clear up some things, and if you're not an airbrush or you've been thinking about getting into airbrushing, then this video is definitely for you. It'll help you save some money and help you make the right first choice when it comes to airbrushing. First of all, you know what? Why use an airbrush? I've got a paintbrush. I don't need to go out and spend money adding some additional gear to my arsenal. So why do I need an airbrush in my miniature painting? So for me, using an airbrush in miniature painting does offer several advantages, and this can improve the quality and efficiency of your work. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say, oh, you know, you should be using an airbrush for everything. Again, I think it is a personal choice. Airbrushing, if some people don't like the look of it, and if you don't like a more mottled effects, and you know, at the end of the day, for me, it's a tool. And whether it's a brush or some new product or some tape, everything's a tool to help you achieve the desired results that you're aiming for when it comes to painting your miniatures. If you've got a massive amount of miniatures to get through, or an army, then just using that airbrush is going to quickly enable you to get a ton of those base coats or the initial colours down, even just priming them without going outside and spending money on rattle cans. However, you know, like you say, to balance this out, there are some downsides to airbrushing, and naturally comes with that is they do require some regular cleaning and maintenance, depending on which models and sort of things that you go for. They can require a little bit of maintenance and upkeep. Mastering it, and you know, I'm by no reasons a good airbrusher. I can do what I can do with it, and that's about it. I'm not saying I'm very good with it, but you know, you do have to put a little bit of time into it and practice it. You can pick it up very quick. I'm not saying you've got to spend months like you do with your miniature painting. You know, it's something you'll probably pick up within a few hours, to be quite fair. And then obviously, which is the biggest one, which is the initial cost and the setup. It's obviously an additional cost for you, and I'll get in at my conclusion at the end, my reasoning behind this and this specific kit that we're going to look at. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to go away from it knowing a little bit more about airbrushing and the advantages, and hopefully going to help you make a better choice when you're spending your hard-earned cash on a, you know, like your very first airbrush. Because the last thing I want you to do is go down the road I went, the cheaper alternative airbrushes off Amazon, like the kits where you get everything in it, and they just fall to parts, or you go to unscrew it or tech needle out and they just break because they're that cheap. So hopefully with this kit, what I'm going to talk to you about today, that's going to answer some of those questions, but I'll get into my final conclusion at the end. Now, for a long time, this is my workhorse airbrush. I've been using the Harder & Steenbeck Ultra 2024. Now mine's going to look a little bit different to what you normally see, because I've modified mine a little bit. And again, this is a fantastic airbrush. It's a great beginner's airbrush, like such as the little spinny thing that comes on top of it, the restrictor. It really helps you, you know, like learning this trigger control, where to turn it to and how far you can pull it back and stuff. And so I always, you know, there's nothing wrong with this brush. It is a fantastic brush, and it's going to last you a very, very long time. But the downside to it is they are, I'm not sure at the current time of this filming, but when I first bought mine, they were 99 UK pounds. And that might seem a big amount, especially when you've got to take into consideration you need all your other bits and bobs. So naturally, I have been searching a little bit, looking around for you guys as well, to see which is, you know, going to be the best and most efficient beginner kit, or where to start without going down the cheap route, and one that's going to be affordable. I've had my eye on this one for quite some time, and I were going to pick one up, I just never got round to it. And then very, very kindly, out of nowhere, Gaahleri, I think it's pronounced, reached out to me and said, you know, we'd love to send you some of our stuff, take a look at it and review it for us. Basically, where do you want to go? What do you want? They were very, very nice with me. I asked them specifically for this kit so I could show you guys, and there's a couple of other reasons why I wanted it as well. But this is the Gaahleri Ambition Series airbrush and compressor kit. Like I said, everything you need is inside the box, but the box itself, these are really, really nicely packaged. Like the cheap ones I've had off Amazon, they just come in this awful box and everything's sort of shrink wrapped and it just looks bad. But this is a real nice box. It feels really, I want to say premium. When you first crack it open, but obviously on the box it gives you a little bit and all the information on the back. I'm not going to go over the boring specs. If you want to pause the video and check out the specs for yourself, then make sure you are doing that. But inside, obviously, you get the instructions kit, and this is like a quick start guide. And again, it'll tell you a little bit of things what you need to know, how to connect it up, how to get it going, you know, pressures, how to empty your cups and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really good little insight. It's everything you need to know without bombarding you with information. Then obviously you get the airbrush itself, which is the Gaahleri Classic CS. Now this is a 0.38 needle and nozzle, and this is perfect for, you know, so you're not going too thin that you're going to get blockages, and it's also not too big that everything's just going to spray out and go all over. Now, first of all, obviously, when I was looking at this, I was really taken back by the quality of it. And again, this is, you know, they've not paid me to say any of this stuff. This is just me speaking. You know, next to my Ultra, you can tell a little bit of difference as in the, you know, the quality of them with the brushes compared to something like the Ultra, but it's not far off. Like, everything does feel good. It's a nice weight. Obviously, you get the bigger cup, and then you've got the actual trigger handle as well at the back. And for the price range of this as well, you've got this little nub on the back which is called your restrictor, and this just twists and it just limits how far back you can actually pull the trigger. It's obviously a two-stage trigger. What that means is you press down for air, pull back for paint, and this is probably the most crucial part you need to learn when you're actually doing, you know, when you first get into airbrushing, is that motion. But you'll eventually pick it up. Again, it's like a muscle memory thing. You just get it over time. There's a nice little, what I like about this is like the way it's, you know, machined, where your finger would naturally sit. There's like this curve where it just rests on your finger, and it does feel quite comfortable to do that. Now, obviously, with the weight distribution, sometimes can be a factor for people. It's not something I've really noticed or bothers me that much, but there tends to be with this one a little bit more weight on front. So just, you know, this is something you'll just adapt to over time, and I think this is just something that you'll eventually see if you get using other airbrushes. It's not something you're going to notice straight out of the box. It's just something I've personally noticed using other airbrushes. Also, these little chrome handles, these are to put on the air compressor, and it is an airbrush holder so that you can comfortably sit that in between the painting sessions. And then there's a couple of other bits in the box like your hose and everything like that, but the main feature and the main thing that I do want to talk about is the compressor. So this is a Serenair mini compressor, and I must say I am totally blown away with this. I didn't expect it to feel this good. I thought it was going to be like a cheap box, but I'm really blown away. And it is so easy to use. Obviously, you've got your 5 buttons at the bottom. Your middle one, that turns it on or just returns it back to the standard pressure. When you first turn these on, it'll always go to the 21 psi. So if you've ever watched my videos or some other people painting, you'll notice that they do say, oh, I've set this to 20 psi or 30 psi, and this range goes from 15 right up to 27 psi. Then your buttons around it, these are just to go up and down in pressures, and then you can also, if you want to jump straight back up to maximum pressure rather than clicking it like 4 or 5 times, just press that button and it'll go from top to the bottom. Working your way around, obviously you get your power adapter, and you've got these nice little rubber feet on bottom, which is going to help with the noise and vibration and help it stick and make sure it's not going to vibrate off your table. So that's the last thing you want. But then another thing that blew my mind, which I did not know until I received it, you can actually hook up 2 airbrushes to this one compressor. Now, I can probably see a reason why I'd use that. Not a lot of people probably use that, but it's just one thing to take in mind for people that might want to use multiple airbrushes in colours in tandem without cleaning, then going back to the other one. This might come in handy for me when I do my OSL effects and stuff. So one of the things that I've noticed straight away is that I was thinking, you know, how loud is this? Because obviously I live, I've got a child, so on a night time, the last thing I want is my airbrush going brrr to disturb my, you know, my family and stuff. I don't want it to wake them up. It is very quiet. It's probably the quietest airbrush compressor that I've come across just yet. Naturally, it does increase in volume if you go up in those pressures, or if you come down, it quietens down a little bit as well. And like I say, because of those rubber feet, there's no shaking, vibrating, or going off anywhere. With this as well, with it being a smaller one, you'll notice that when you depress the button, it's on. So when you're pressing down for your air, it turns on. And the reason for that is obviously naturally due to the size of it. It hasn't got an internal tank. It's not like my other airbrush compressor, which, you know, it'll fill up over a course of a couple of minutes, and then I'll probably get around 5 minutes of spraying, and then it'll just rattle off in background as and when it needs to fill up. That's a good thing. Obviously, it can be a bit annoying sometimes. So what I like about this is the fact that, you know, it's just on and off, and you're not going to wait. I'll just hear it clicking off for 2 or 3 minutes in the background as well. So at this point, I just banged some Tamiya flat white in the airbrush just to give it a little test. And I started first of all testing, making sure everything was just working properly. And again, I was really shocked at how good the actual airbrush does feel. It does feel like an expensive premium one, and I'm not just saying that. You know, I've had the cheap ones which feel like they're made out of plastic, and I can't explain it unless you've actually held one. You can feel it in your hands, like everything just feels clunky and not right nice, but this is really smooth. The only difference I noted, I'm going to call it a bite point. It's not a bite point, but you know, just pulling back on it, to where you get, like with the Infinity and the like with the Evolution that I've used before, you press down and pull back slightly, bang, your air's like, your paint's instantly there. With this, obviously the bite point's a little bit further back, but I got used to that within a couple of minutes. Now with this being a 0.38, you can sort of see the detail that you can get with it, really thin. You get it thinner than that, it's just that I was still getting used to pressure. So you can see how thin you can work right up until, you know, you can get like your big sprays. And I tested it on the miniatures just to see how it went on there. The atomization were absolutely fine. I found no spitting or anything like that, and no issues with the actual airbrush at the time. So everything so far has worked really good. Now I have used this on a couple of different occasions to, you know, paint some miniatures, ones that you'll probably see in upcoming videos. Again, I had no issues. I'd probably like to jump back on and do another video, you know, maybe do like a see how I got on with it in 6 months and stuff. So in conclusion, who do I think this is for? Why is it good? And why am I going to recommend it to you? So first of all, I'll go over some of the reasons why I personally chose this one and not asked for one of the big compressors or anything like that, and that is for multiple reasons. Number one, because I'm doing a little bit more traveling now and I like to like paint and stuff on the go, this airbrush compressor is going to be perfect. I have got some stuff lined up coming this year where I am going to be going to some conventions and stuff and demonstrating some products, and for that I might need an airbrush, and to travel down with this is just, it's a godsend. I love the fact that you can have 2 hoses onto it and have 2 different airbrushes onto it. I love the quietness of it and the ease of use. And again, if you've not got a lot of space, that don't take up too much. You can see it next to the size of it next to my phone. So, you know, when people are saying, oh, I don't have the space for a compressor and an airbrush, come on, really? But it's not as, you know, people are scared of just, you know, airbrushing like your normal acrylic paints and stuff. You know, always take safety into precaution. You know, that's me not saying go out and, you know, break the rules or anything, but, you know, you don't need all these pipes and ventilations into your room and all that stuff. Just a well-ventilated room will be fine. But another reason for this is I occasionally use a lacquer paint through my airbrush, especially for priming. Now that stuff does smell, and I have to wear a mask with that, and then obviously it's in the house and blah blah blah. You know, it's not something I want. So with this now, I know I can quickly run outside without unplugging everything, plug this into my outside outlet or my garage, do it in there, and everybody is going to be fine, and there's going to be no smells in the property. You know, and that's it. You don't need the best and greatest, but what you do need when you're first going out and getting your own airbrush is something that's reliable. I'm really interested in trying out their, they've got one above from this, which is the Mobius, which one I'm really interested in. So if you can have that as well, Gaahleri, that'd be lovely to review. I'll let you guys know. But in conclusion, I think this is overall the perfect kit for any beginner or someone that's been looking or wants to get into airbrushing, just for the reasons that I've mentioned. You know, the benefits of airbrushing, and then hopefully this will have answered some, you know, your space problems and all that sort of stuff. And the price of it, you know, is really, really cheap. And as a bonus, in the link in the description below, there is an affiliate link where you'll also receive 10% off this purchase. What are you waiting for? Go and click that button. But I'd just bought, if it were at the price it were at, I'd have just paid that for this. Like this, this on its own is just a bonus to have. And obviously later on in future, if you want to upgrade your airbrushes with either their Mobius or something, you can always do that. But at the minute, there's no reason to upgrade or anything. And you know, you're getting good, decent quality parts as well, without, you know, getting bits that are going to break and all that sort of stuff that you get with the general Amazon cheap, dirty, awful kits. But the price point is massive on this, and what you get for what you pay as well is just an absolute steal. And for people that say, you know, I can't afford an airbrush, I can't do this, I can't afford that, just put this into perspective. So the next time you go to a Games Workshop or your favourite hobby store and you want to blast £100 or £120 on the latest greatest box set, or you know, your combat patrol, or pick 2 boxes of troops up when you haven't really got the money, or you know, it's money that you could be putting elsewhere, then next time you do that, why don't you think about maybe investing that money into something a little bit better or a little bit more. So yeah, people that say I can't afford an airbrush, but yet they'll go and flatten £300-400 a month in a Games Workshop, and for the less than what I've just mentioned, what you can buy, you can pick up this kit. And you know, I think as miniature painters and just painters overall, we're always looking for something that's going to make us better, whether that be a technique or a product or a piece of paint or something. We're always thinking, oh, if I get that, I'll be a better painter. And there's not much really that, you know, unless you put the time and effort into practicing and getting better. But if you're really wanting, you know, to speed things up, paint in a different way, get things better and looking better, then, you know, next time you're thinking about splashing out on some plastic crack, then why don't you pick something like this? Because this will, airbrushing does change the way that you paint and the way things can look on your miniatures. And that's not to say, again, going back to what I said at the beginning, that, you know, you need to be doing this and doing it that way. It's not. Everything that I always mention, and you know, even the tutorials that I learn, it's all subjective. If it's for you, do it. If it's not, then, you know, don't. In a final conclusion, I am extremely impressed with this kit. I can't wait to start using it more in the future. It couldn't have come at a better time, and the best thing about it is they have obviously given me a 10% discount code for you lovely subscribers and people to grab below. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you've got any questions around this kit or anything that you'd like to know, then let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, guys, I will catch you in the next video.